Welcome Wolfpack to another SCUM University tutorial. This is an update to the video that I released in June 2019 explaining how to get started. Another video that may assist you is the SCUM character creation guide, which describes how I set up my characters for the server I play on and why. I will leave the links to both of those videos in the description below. Make sure you check those out. Since gameplay has changed due to patches, updates, and hotfixes, the older video has become somewhat outdated. This video will take you through the basic necessities of surviving on SCUM Island. Your crafting decisions may vary depending on the type of server you play on. It is important to note that this isn't the only way to play the game, it is simply me sharing the way I have chosen to play the game. Stick around and I'll show you my first steps for playing on a hardcore survival server like Night Kingdoms. One of the first things I like to do here is when we drop in, whether it be that we've died and we're respawning in, or if we're a new character and just spawned in for the first time, I like to see where we are in the map. So we press the M key to check out our map. We look around here, the red dot is us. That again has changed from the previous video. It used to be a blue arrow, it is now a red dot. You can see we're down here in A2, and what SCUM players sometimes refer to the keypad 4 or 5 area of A2. When you hear a player in SCUM refer to their keypad to give a location, what we are doing is overlaying our numerical keypad over that grid and then referring to the number that corresponds with that corner or the closest corner. Sometimes that in itself will confuse new players. Okay, so we've respawned now where we're not near civilization and we cannot rely on buildings or looting to find us our crafting materials. We are right here near C4, keypad 5. First thing we want to do is take a good look around at what's going on around us. We can see a puppet. There is a puppet out there somewhere. I heard him screaming a second ago. And you want to do a complete 360 to make sure you're not going to miss anything. Sometimes you get lucky and you spawn right near something like this, a hunting tower. On the server I play on, this may mean nothing. There could be a 22 caliber rifle up there. There may be a small backpack, and a lot of times they're completely empty. As a new player, what you're looking for are bushes like these, or bushes like these over here, and even more perfectly is a section of these 3 trees right here, these little white barked trees right here. You can get the same out of bushes like those over here, or those over there, but it's much easier to come up here, have 3 trees, and get everything done within a few feet. Our first goal is to craft a stone knife, so we're going to look at the ground and press F in a couple of different locations. Sometimes you'll find rocks, sometimes you won't. Here we found several rocks. Now we're going to craft the stone knife right here. We need 2 rocks, and we'll hit the craft button. He'll bang some stones together. Voila, we'll have a knife. So 2 of our stone rocks have disappeared, and we have a knife laying on the ground. This is our vicinity right here, so we can pick it up and drag and drop it over to our pocket, or we can double click it, and it will appear in an available slot in our pocket. The way we access our inventory is to press the tab key, and then also we have our crafting menu, metabolism, our journal, squad later on down the road, and then our events. So with our stone knife, we're going to cut down this tree. Press the F button to cut down the tree. You will notice that I am going to speed up the footage so this video is not insanely long, so you guys can digest the information. So cutting down that tree with a knife, we get 2 long wooden sticks, and we get 4 short sticks. We're not going to worry about the 2 logs right now. What we're concentrated on right now are sticks, and you're going to see exactly why in a few seconds. It's going to take a lot of chopping and cutting to get started here. Our second item that we're going to go after is the stone axe. You're going to get a lot more resources using a stone axe than you would with a stone knife. Upgraded equipment, more resources. That goes for everything in this game. So for the stone axe, you'll see we need the small stone axe head, which we could take care of right now. We need a long or a short wooden stick, and we need some tree bark rope. So we're going to work on the tree bark rope right here. Tree bark rope needs 5 small wooden sticks. Now you can do improvised rope and cut the heck out of your clothes, but we need our clothes for the other things that we're going to talk about in a few minutes. Again, this is not the only way to do things. This is just the way I've chosen to do things. I choose the tree bark rope for that reason. We only have 4 wooden sticks here. We're going to take this long wooden stick, right click it, and cut it into small wooden sticks. Again, with the knife, it's only going to give us a few. If we had an axe, which is what we're working for, we would get a lot more. Now you can see in the vicinity, we have enough small wooden sticks that we can craft our tree bark rope. We are going to need a lot of this in the next few minutes. Again, working towards our axe, now we need the small stone axe head. We already have the 2 rocks on the ground, and we can craft that up. Now we have all the components for the stone axe, and we'll go ahead and craft that up. A lot of crafting in the first few minutes of this game. So now we can place this stone axe on our back in a holster like that, or we can right click and pick it up, or we could just double click it and it will go into an available inventory slot. You'll see we left one stick on the ground and one rock on the ground. The two items on your back are your hotkeys 1 and 2. So if you hit your tab button and go out into the world here, you press the 1 button, this will equip. Now we're going to go ahead and cut down another one of these trees. And because we're using the axe now, we get a lot more resources. Our next mission is going to be to craft the improvised courier backpack. It does us no good to go looting if we can't carry anything. So for this we need 3 rags, tree bark rope, and the knife that we have on us. Tree bark rope, and we can craft it up. Now we need 3 rags. So how do we get that? What I like to do is start cutting up my clothes at this point. I will start usually with my inmate shirt. So you right click and cut into rags. One of the reasons I like to use the inmate shirt is because it is very bright, and I like to get rid of that as soon as possible because it is a beacon for other players. So that gave us 2 rags. My next move is usually the willy warmer, which I get in the supporter pack. You can also use your socks or your underwear. That's completely up to you. Now we have 4, and we can go ahead and craft our improvised courier backpack. Our improvised courier backpack is in the vicinity and on the ground. We can now either drag and drop it right here to the center bar and equip it that way, or we can right click and equip. Notice the increase in inventory space where we had our shirt. The next move we do is to go after the improvised quiver. We have 5 sticks that we need, either long or short. I prefer the short because you can always cut your long sticks into short sticks and have plenty to use. And we also need 3 more rags. We still have 1 rag laying on the ground. Let's go ahead and cut our long sticks into short sticks. Here you notice you only got 2. That's not correct. We're using our stone knife to cut those up. Make sure you're using your axe to cut the long sticks up. Now we have a total of 5. We can craft our tree bark rope. We have our tree bark rope. Now we lose our socks. We only gained 1 rag from our socks. Now we lose our underwear. You could see that we ran out of resources here. If I had to change locations, I would just throw the stick on my back. I would throw the rags and the rope in my improvised courier backpack and move on to my next location. Over here's another group of trees. I could move it over to another bush or something like that. So we chop down that tree. Now we have enough resources to craft the improvised quiver. That crafts up rather quickly. Again, we can either right click and equip or drag and drop it to the center. And we have another storage space here. Although designed for arrows, it does not have to be arrows. As we were crafting our items, you could see out there that we have a puppet in the vicinity, so we definitely have to find a way to defend ourselves. The last thing that I want to do is run into a town hoping to find loot, and then run into a bunch of puppets and die again. You'll see if you watch my character creation video, I prefer a high melee skill, so we're going to use a melee weapon, and then we'll use a bow and arrow for ranged combat and silent kills. So my move for the bow is going to be the 35-pound improvised bow. Again, need yet another tree bark rope and 1 long wooden stick. So let's cut one of these down into small sticks. That leaves enough for our rope. And now we have enough for our bow. We will place this bow on our back. You'll see that's in inventory spot 2. If needed quickly, you could just press the 2 button and you're good to go. So we've exhausted the resources of that bush. Let's move on to our next bush over here. We're going to look for a large bush like this one. Go ahead and cut it down. And this bush will give us everything that we need for all of the wooden arrows. We need 12 small wooden sticks to make a complete stack of 12 wooden arrows. I'm going to go ahead and craft 12 arrows, and we will bring you back when we're done. And there you have it. They stack 12, they go right into the improvised quiver, and you're good to go. You could do a couple of variations here. You are set up for melee combat right now, and you are set up for ranged combat right now. I like to take it a step further. You can use this axe for melee combat. It certainly works, especially if your melee skill is high. I personally do not prefer the axe for melee combat. What I like to do is either find one of these large logs laying down on the ground or a tree. It's got to be a large tree. It can't be a small tree like this one. It has to be a large tree like either those over there or one like this. If you find one of these large logs on the ground, only search shows up, but if you press and hold your F button, you will get the option to cut it into wooden logs. You'll see here that the wooden logs that we just cut out of that large log laying on the ground are much different than the wooden logs you get from these smaller trees like that one or the bushes. You can only do this next move with the large wooden logs, not the small wooden logs. So we're going to look at that log and we're going to press and hold F and then cut it into wooden planks. You can do the same by right-clicking and selecting cut into wooden planks. And now we have a wooden plank here on the ground. We have 4 of them actually. We only need 1. And we're going to craft this wooden club. The only thing you need for that wooden club is the axe and a wooden plank, and you'll see a club in the vicinity. Now lies a problem of how do I carry all this stuff? Well, the nice thing about having that courier backpack is I can put the axe in here, and then I can put this club on my back. Now here is my new hotkey number 1, and that gives me a pretty good and substantial melee weapon. We will talk about upgrading all this stuff in the next video. So now we're in a position where we could arguably somewhat safely go off and start looting. We have a ranged combat weapon with the bow and arrows. We have a melee weapon for close combat. We have some places to put some stuff if we find it. Again, if we come to something that we need to pick up and we have to make a decision on what to drop, we can drop this axe, easily crafted, just like I showed you before in this video. We'll check out this hunting tower. My luck is that we usually get up here and there's a hiking backpack with a tremendous amount of inventory space, wasting our time for the last 10 minutes, but that's okay. So we have a Hunter 85 up here, which is good. We'll take that. Then we have a baseball cap that we can throw on our body as well. Typically, I will not get rid of my orange pants until I find another pair of pants to loot in the game. When I do find those pants, I will cut these into rags to use as bandages down the road. You always want to make sure that you have a cutting instrument, whether that be the stone axe, and you will note that our knife has degraded because we used it so much in crafting. Once it gets down to 0%, it will disappear. There are other options for ranged combat. You do have your improvised wooden spear, which is easily craftable. You could just craft up, that's with one long wooden stick, but that only gives you 1 shot for each. If you miss and you're on a hardcore survival server, it's a very good chance you might be injured by a puppet. The nice thing about a wooden spear is they could either be thrown, or you can use them as a melee weapon. In my opinion, they're not as effective as the club, but they do work. If you do get injured in battle with a puppet, don't be afraid to start cutting up your clothes and using your rags. They must be clean rags to use as bandages, right-click, and patch wounds. Don't forget to pick up any rags you have left over. You might need those in the future. Drop a comment below and let us know what your first steps are. Which melee weapon do you prefer, or do you like to box it out with the puppets? Do you prefer spears or a club? Let the community know by leaving a comment below. I hope this video helps you in your quest to stay alive in SCUM, at least initially. Again, this isn't the only way to do things. It is simply the way that works for me on the server that I play on, the Night Kingdom server. Don't forget to check out the next video, which discusses the upgrades to the items that we just crafted. That video should be showing up right about now. If you enjoyed the content or learned something, please don't forget to hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that red subscribe button and set your notifications to all. If you missed the character creation videos, check out that playlist by clicking the card showing up right now, and we will see you over there.